Okay, so this is my swamp cooler installation here, though it may look dirty now, it's just we were cutting out some foam, but I assure you it was done correctly. What we basically did is pulled out a 4x8 sheet of sheetrock, cut patiently, don't rush it, do it right the first time. You have to take out the baseboards, and what we did here is we basically built two sides to support this T, which we put in here, and this is the original stud that was going up to right here. So we have a two-story house. No, it did not fall on us. You don't have to brace it typically, as long as your roof is on the weakest side. And you'll know because the triangle of your roof, the walls have the heaviest weight. This one is at the odd end. So this is basically a 4x4 stud here. And over here we obviously built some more studs. These all have names. The terms are in a book, but right now if I say them I'll get a little distracted. But more or less you can see what I did. I built these two legs first, built this over here very carefully. You have to measure a bunch of times because you don't want to mess up. And I built these two here, left and right, and then the 4x4 stud. The biggest problem is when you're doing with the swamp cooler on the outside, you have to basically be sturdy there and have something. You're testing a bunch in and out of the swamp with the swamp cooler. What we did is we used, I don't know, 18 I think it's 16 bricks, or maybe 8x16 typical bricks you buy at Home Depot. Stacked it. We liked where it stood, and we kind of built our concept around that because we knew that we wanted a really steady base. The hole, if you can see, these little pieces of wood right here are just here so that nobody can pull out the swamp cooler after insertion. Do not let this fool you. It's very strong now, but I just slid these in right at the very last minute. And there's one under here which you cannot see, it's a little deeper. Slid this in right before we decided to nail everything up and then put foam over it. We did this because we wanted to leave a little bit of space so you could get this whole thing in and out, because we probably moved it in and out about 10 to 12 times. What I did here is, I am not sure if it's legal or not, but I took the power cord, drilled a hole inside of this wood here, came down, and I hardwired it because basically I did not want a switch running down the side of my wall when I'm all done. I have electricity. If you do not know about electricity, I'm no expert, but I've finagled with it a little bit. Do your research. Go get a book from Home Depot, or ask a friend, or purchase an electrician for hire to do that. What you see here are some shims, just to keep up some of the little bit of offness that there was as far as the bottom. It was touching, but I wasn't quite happy with it. And electrical was the last thing I did. And I basically rerouted some 220 that I had going to my air conditioner right here. So again, you may or may not have that, but don't let that fool you. These are very important. So next guy that comes in and drills or hammers does not hit electricity lines. These go right here, and they're just like little 8-cent things you pick up at Home Depot, give or take a few cents. And that is my swamp cooler project. And now really to finish up, we just have some cleanup here. You do really want to be careful of this edge and make sure you have enough room for your new piece of sheetrock to basically come over and make it not look goofy. If you did it perfectly, this would actually almost touch the hole of the sheetrock, and you could put some wood trim around it that you some finish work when you're all done, basically like you would a normal window. This window right here does not have the finish work because we're redoing it and whatnot, but I couldn't find anything on swamp coolers on the web, so as far as the install, so I decided to film this video so that you could see what I did. And at the very end here, you end up slicing this piece of wood I had to put here because the load bearing's coming here. It's basically being supported here, but here you don't want this board to bulge out. So this is the very last piece of wood I put in. You may or may not need it. I put it in because it makes me feel better. And then this piece of wood right here you really don't need either. Again, I put this in. I'm going to be hammering these through, or at least drilling in from the other side using some really high-end silicone so that there's no moisture involved as far as the nails rotting or anything, or screws. But I put this in so I could lock up the swamp cooler. And again, I did this last minute. So this board, and the one under here, which you can't see, I did last minute just for security reasons. And if you really wanted to, you could drill out this side also and drill into this piece of wood. I did not, because I had a little bit of space, as you can see by the amount of yellow stuff, and I didn't feel like bending my swamp cooler. I felt like 3 sides very well was good. And basically you're going to end up buying a lot of this stuff here. I'll show you this. It's sticky on one side. It's basically window flashing. I used it on the outside quite considerably. You do the sides first, so I'm sorry, the bottom first, the sides, and then the top. And then I'm buying basically a L flashing, which I'm not showing here in this video because I'm in my socks and don't want to go outside. But basically you're just making sure you have a waterproof fit, and you know, it took me a good hour to do it. I took my time, and if you rush it, you can see here it's still coming out the side right here from the inside, and because you're going to have a hole in your, I have T111, you're going to have a hole in the side of your house. You really want it sealed right, and if you do deal with stucco, good luck, because I know nothing about stucco, and that's a whole other bottle of wax. Alright, I'm outside now of my swamp cooler project. Hopefully I'll get this edited within a reasonable amount of time, but the blue stuff is the high-end stuff you buy at Home Depot. It basically stops any dust from coming in. If you've ever used a swamp cooler, you get a bunch of particles as soon as you turn it on and throughout the day, and we basically just don't want to clean it up. I have a bunch of bricks here piled up. There's 6 here, and then there's you can tell my configuration. There's 4 here, but there's 6 in the front. The reason why you leave this back part empty is you have a drain, which is right here. And you should really connect something here, kind of a back, you know, some type of relief for it. This copper wire we just put in last night to kind of rig it up to make sure it worked properly. We're going to be replacing that with something more cleaner. Maybe drill a hole through the concrete block or something, but I'll figure something out. I haven't yet got there. But what I wanted to show you was, and I'm not done, is this stuff here, and forgive these little strips here. We had some rain and I didn't want them getting behind, but this main strip, which is we're going to slice down and cover with some side, some basically framework that looks basically like this. This right here, we're going to bend back down. We'll seal this. Water comes down, it cannot come in. And believe it or not, on the underside of this, going into the house, I have another piece that I've laid perfectly. It was quite tricky to do it. I had to bend it basically like this, do one side, because once you have the swamp cooler and you have no way to, unless you left a lot of clearance for your hands to get in there. So it took some pushing with the screwdriver to push it out. But we went ahead and oversealed because I typically overdo a lot of things I do and I end up cleaning it up later. It's just my style. But I'm kind of amazed there was nothing done on home swamp coolers as far as the install. So again, I've probably repeated myself 3 times or 4 times on something. It's my first funky video like this, but I felt like I should do something for everybody. The wires coming out of there is for my air conditioning, which obviously I need to do. And also, one last note, I had not put the insulation or the drywall up on the inside of the house, which is last. But I will talk to you later. Have a good one.